The stars twisted and bent as the Kallint research vessel tore through the fabric of space. Inside the command chamber, Commander Zixthal watched the viewing screen with 3 of his compound eyes, while the 4th monitored the navigation systems. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked softly as he adjusted his position on the elevated platform. After traveling for what felt like mere hours in faster-than-light speed, they had crossed a distance that would have taken light itself 30,000 years. Earth appeared on the screen as a blue marble suspended in the black void. Zixthal felt a wave of satisfaction wash through his neural clusters. The planet looked exactly as it had in the ancient survey records. White clouds swirled over vast oceans. Green and brown land masses dotted the surface. Everything seemed in order. "Begin scanning for base installation 794, Zixthal commanded. His translator device converted his clicking mandibles into words the ship's computer could understand. Science Officer Krina worked at her station, her antennae twitching with concentration. Initiating deep scan of designated coordinates. The base should be located in the northern region of the 3rd largest desert. The Kallint had left the base behind 30,000 years ago, back when humans were barely more than clever animals. Those primitives had lived in caves, hunted with stone-tipped spears, and knew nothing of metals or agriculture. The Kallint had found them fascinating subjects for long-term study. So they had built a research station, hidden it with advanced cloaking technology, and filled it with automated systems designed to observe and record human development over millions of years. The base had been built to last. Its foundations were quantum-locked, meaning they existed partially outside normal spacetime. Its power core drew energy directly from Earth's magnetic field. Its hull was made of self-repairing smart materials that could survive meteor strikes, volcanic eruptions, and ice ages. Nothing short of a supernova should have been able to destroy it. "Commander," Krina's voice carried a note of confusion. "I'm not detecting the base." Zixthal's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "Check your instruments. The base cannot simply be invisible to our scanners. It was built with Kallint technology. I have checked 3 times, Commander. The instruments are functioning perfectly." Krina looked up from her station, her eyes reflecting genuine concern. "There is nothing at those coordinates. No energy signature, no quantum distortion, no molecular traces, nothing." "That is impossible," Zixthal said. He moved to the science station and examined the data himself. The scanners showed only sand, rock, and dirt at the base location. It was as if their research station had never existed at all. "Perhaps the coordinates are wrong," suggested Pilot Vixcor from his station. 30,000 years is a long time. Planetary drift, tectonic movement. "The coordinates are correct," Krina interrupted. "I have accounted for all planetary movement. I am scanning the entire desert region now, expanding to a 1,000-kilometer radius. The ship's sensors swept across the surface below, penetrating deep into the Earth, analyzing every particle and energy signature. The results appeared on the main screen. Zixthal stared at them in disbelief. "Still nothing," Krina confirmed. "Commander, the base is gone." Zixthal felt a chill run through his nervous system. In all his years of service to the Galactic Council, he had never encountered anything like this. Kallint installations did not disappear. They especially did not disappear without leaving any trace whatsoever. "Scan the entire planet," he ordered. Perhaps the base was moved. As the sensors expanded their search, other discoveries began to emerge. Zixthal watched the data flow across his screens with growing alarm. Earth was not the primitive world they had left behind. The planet was covered with artificial structures. Cities of metal and stone sprawled across every continent, roads carved through forests and deserts like veins. Thousands of artificial satellites orbited the planet. "Commander, I'm detecting electromagnetic radiation across multiple frequencies," Krina reported. "Radio waves, microwave transmissions, high-energy particle emissions. This is not natural." "The humans," Vixcor breathed. "They have developed technology." Zixthal examined the data more carefully. The technology was primitive by galactic standards, but it was still impressive for a species that had been using stone tools just 30,000 years ago. They had discovered electricity, built machines, and even achieved spaceflight, though they had not yet left their own solar system. "Classify their civilization level," Zixthal ordered. Krina worked quickly. "Early Type 1 civilization. They are harnessing their planet's energy, but have not yet achieved faster-than-light travel. Their weapons are chemical and nuclear-based with some basic energy systems. They pose no threat to this vessel." Zixthal considered the situation. The humans had advanced remarkably fast, but they were still primitive compared to the Kalint. More importantly, they should not have been able to affect the base. Human technology, even at this level, could not have touched quantum-locked foundations. A nuclear weapon could have exploded directly on the base and done nothing but reveal its presence. Something else happened here, Zixthal said quietly. Something we do not understand. Should we attempt contact with the humans? Vixkor asked. Perhaps they know what happened to our base. No, Zixthal decided. Not yet. First, we investigate, deploy stealth probes to the base location. I want a complete analysis of that site. Geological surveys, temporal scans, quantum field analysis, everything. There must be evidence of what happened. As the crew worked to launch the probes, Zixthal stared at the blue planet below. 30,000 years ago, they had come to observe simple primitives. Now those primitives had built a technological civilization, and somehow, impossibly, the Kalint's indestructible base had vanished without a trace. Something had gone very wrong on Earth, and Zixthal had the growing suspicion that the humans knew more than anyone expected. The stealth probes descended through Earth's atmosphere like invisible ghosts. Commander Zixthal watched their feeds on the main screen as they approached the coordinates where base installation 794 should have been. The probes were equipped with the most advanced sensors in the Kalint arsenal, capable of detecting everything from quantum fluctuations to historical temporal echoes. What they found made no sense. The terrain has been completely altered, Science Officer Krina reported. Her antennae drooped in confusion. Where the base should be, there are now agricultural fields, irrigation systems, roads, and a human settlement approximately 2 kilometers to the east. The screen showed rolling fields of green crops. Large machines moved through them, harvesting plants with mechanical efficiency. Humans worked alongside the machines, their tiny forms moving with purpose across the landscape. Where there should have been a hidden research station, there was only farmland. Go deeper, Zixthal ordered. Scan beneath the surface. The base foundations extended 300 meters underground. The probes sent penetrating waves through the earth. The results appeared on the screen layer by layer. Soil, rock, ancient sediment. Water tables, but no trace of Kalint construction materials. No quantum-locked foundations, no power conduits, nothing. It is as if the base never existed, Krina said quietly. Zixthal's mandibles clicked in frustration. He had commanded research, vessels for 200 years and had never encountered such an impossibility. Expand the temporal scan. I want to see the history of this location. Go back 50,000 years. The probes activated their temporal echo sensors. These devices could read the faint impressions that past events left on space-time itself, like fossils preserved in stone. The image on the screen began to shift, showing the same location at different points in history. 20 years ago, farmland. 100 years ago, farmland. 500 years ago, desert with a small human settlement. 1,000 years ago, desert with nomadic humans passing through. 5,000 years ago, pristine desert with no human presence. There, Zixthal pointed. Stop there. The image froze at a point approximately 15,000 years in the past. The desert landscape was empty and untouched. But there, visible only as the faintest quantum distortion, was an outline. The outline of base installation 794. The base was there 15,000 years ago, Krina confirmed. But look at this. She advanced the timeline forward slowly. At approximately 14,800 years in the past, something changed. The quantum signature began to fluctuate. Then it weakened. Then it disappeared completely. What could cause that? Pilot Vixkor asked. Nothing, Zixthal said. Nothing in nature could disrupt a quantum lock. It requires deliberate technological intervention, very advanced technological intervention. But Commander, Vixkor protested, 14,000 years ago, these humans were still primitive. According to our original survey, they had not even developed agriculture yet. Zixthal studied the data in silence. His mind worked through the possibilities, discarding each one as impossible. A natural disaster? No, Quantum locks were designed to survive anything nature could produce. A malfunction? No, Quilent technology had redundancy systems within redundancy systems. An attack by another spacefaring species? Possible, but there was no evidence of any other civilization visiting Earth. Hack into their information networks, Zixthal ordered suddenly. I want access to their historical records, everything they know about this region. It took the ship's computer less than 3 minutes to infiltrate Earth's primitive internet systems. Vast amounts of human data flooded into the Quilent database. Books, scientific papers, archaeological surveys, historical documents, legends, and myths. Krina sorted through the information quickly. I have found extensive human archaeological data about this region. They call it the Sahara Desert. According to their records, this area has been inhabited by humans on and off for over 30,000 years. Any mention of our base? No, Commander. There are no records of any structure at that location. But... Krina paused, her eyes scanning through more data. There are legends. Ancient stories passed down by the local human tribes. They speak of a place they called the house that should not be. A structure that appeared and disappeared in the desert. A place where the sky demons lived. Zixthal leaned forward. Sky demons? A primitive term for extraterrestrial visitors, Krina explained. The legends are vague and fragmented, but they all mention a structure that could not be entered by normal means, a building that hummed with power, a place the tribal elders warned their children to avoid. So they knew about the base, Vixcor said. But how did they overcome the cloaking systems? I do not know, Krina admitted. But there is more. I found a reference in a human archaeological journal from 20 years ago. A team discovered some unusual material fragments in this region, crystalline structures that could not be identified. The fragments were sent to a laboratory for analysis, but the laboratory later claimed they were simply unusual natural formations. Zixthal felt a cold certainty growing in his core. Find that laboratory. I want to know what happened to those fragments. As Krina worked, Zixthal made a decision. Prepare an abduction shuttle. We need to question these humans directly. Find their top scientists and military leaders. Bring them to the ship for interrogation. Commander, Vixcor said carefully, the Galactic Council has strict protocols about first contact. We should not... The Council is 30,000 light-years away, Zixthal interrupted, and we have a mystery that threatens everything we understand about our technology. We need answers. The abduction shuttle was prepared within the hour. It descended toward Earth's surface, its stealth systems active. The target was a human research facility where several scientists who had studied the Sahara region worked. The plan was simple: render the humans unconscious with stasis fields, transport them to the ship, conduct interviews, then return them with their memories edited. It should have been routine. But as the shuttle broke through the cloud layer, alarms began screaming throughout the ship. Krina's voice filled the command chamber with urgency. Commander, we have been detected. Multiple energy signatures are converging on our position. Human vessels are launching from their planet's surface. They have weapons. On the screen, Zixthal saw something that made his blood run cold. Dozens of human spacecraft were rising from Earth, moving with speed and precision that should not have been possible for a Type 1 civilization. Their hulls glowed with energy fields. Their weapons ports were opening. Pull back the shuttle, Zixthal ordered. Full defensive shields, evasive maneuvers. As the Quilent vessel prepared for confrontation, Zixthal realized with dawning horror that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not as primitive as their scans had suggested. They had been hiding their true capabilities. And now the Quilent had revealed themselves. Commander Zixthal gripped the command platform as his ship shuddered from the force of human weapons fire. The defensive shields held, but the energy readings were alarming. These were not the primitive nuclear or chemical weapons his sensors had initially detected. These were plasma cannons, gravity disruptors, directed energy beams that bent space itself to reach their targets. Impossible, Vixcor whispered at his station. Our initial scans showed no technology of this level. How did we miss this? They hid it from us, Krina said, her voice tight with fear. They knew we were scanning them and they deliberately showed us only what they wanted us to see. 30 human vessels surrounded the Khalint ship in a perfect spherical formation. Each vessel was roughly half the size of the research ship, but together they represented a significant threat. Their hulls bore markings in human languages and their designs were elegant, almost organic in appearance. "Hail them," Zixthal ordered. "Open a communication channel." The main screen flickered and changed. A human face appeared, framed against the bridge of one of their vessels. The human was female with dark skin and short-cropped hair. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, showing no fear whatsoever. She wore a uniform of deep blue with insignia that Zixthal did not recognize. "This is Admiral Kenji Okafor of the Earth Defense Fleet," the human said. Her voice was calm but carried an edge of steel. "You have entered protected space without authorization and attempted to abduct our citizens. Power down your weapon systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire with full force." Zixthal composed himself. He had conducted first contact protocols dozens of times before, though never under such hostile circumstances. "I am Commander Zixthal of the Khalint Research Collective. We mean no harm to your species. We are here on a scientific mission." "A scientific mission," Admiral Okafor repeated, and there was something in her tone that sent a chill through Zixthal's neural clusters. "You mean like the scientific mission you conducted 30,000 years ago?" The command chamber fell silent. Every Khalint on the bridge turned to stare at the screen. "You know about that?" Zixthal said slowly. "Oh, we know about a great many things, Commander." The Admiral leaned forward in her chair. "We know about Base Installation 794. We know about your quantum-locked foundations and your self-repairing smart materials. We know about your observation protocols and your study of our ancestors. We know everything. How?" The word escaped Zixthal's mandibles before he could stop it. Admiral Okafor smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "You should have checked your base security logs more carefully before you left. Let me tell you a story, Commander. About 29,847 years ago, a young human hunter named Akara was tracking a gazelle through the desert. He was using all his senses as his father had taught him, and he noticed something strange, a place where the sand fell differently, where the wind seemed to stop, where nothing grew. On the screen behind the Admiral, images began to appear, ancient cave paintings, drawings of a strange rectangular shape in the desert, stick figures of humans standing before it in awe and fear. Akara told his tribe about the invisible house, the Admiral continued. They called it a sign from the spirits. The tribal elders declared it sacred ground, forbidden. But humans, Commander, we are curious creatures. Over generations, we studied that invisible house. We touched it. We threw things at it. We tried to dig around it. And slowly, very slowly, we began to understand that it was not magic. It was something else. Something made by beings from the sky. Zixthal felt his confidence crumbling. Your species was primitive. Stone tools. No written language. You could not possibly have... Primitive does not mean stupid, Admiral Okafor interrupted sharply. It took us thousands of years, but we learned. Around 20,000 years ago, one of our shamans discovered that certain crystals would glow when brought near your base. Around 15,000 years ago, we figured out how to use those crystals to see the outline of your structure. 10,000 years ago, we broke through your outer shell. The images on the screen changed. Archaeological photographs. A massive excavation site. And there, half buried in sand and rock, were pieces of Khalint technology, fragments of hull plating, sections of power conduits, a partially intact door mechanism. We took your base apart piece by piece, the Admiral said. We studied every component. We learned from it. We built upon it. Commander, every piece of technology you see around you, every ship in my fleet, every advancement humanity has made in the last 15,000 years, it all started with your indestructible research station. You uplifted yourselves, Krina whispered. Using our technology. We prefer to think of it as learning from a very expensive textbook you left lying around, Admiral Okafor said. Of course, it did not happen overnight. It took us 5,000 years just to understand your power systems, another 3,000 to grasp the basic principles of your quantum locks. But we are patient, we are persistent, and we remember. Zixthal felt a wave of horror wash over him. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Council had strict laws about technology transfer to developing species. The Khalint had not intentionally uplifted humanity, but the result was the same. If the council learned what had happened, the consequences would be severe. His entire species could face sanctions, possibly even quarantine. "Why did you hide your technology from our scans?" Zixthal asked. "Because we have been waiting for you," Admiral Okafor said simply. "We knew you would come back eventually. Your base logs indicated a planned return visit in approximately 30,000 years. We have had a long time to prepare for this meeting. We wanted to see what you would do, how you would react when you found your base missing. And now?" Zixthal asked carefully.
"What happens now?"
The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "Now, Commander, we talk. You attempted to abduct our citizens. By rights, we could destroy your ship and claim self-defense. But we are not interested in war. We are interested in answers. And perhaps if we can come to an understanding, we might discuss the future." "You want to join the Galactic Council," Zixthal realized. "We want many things," Admiral Okafor said. "First and foremost, we want respect. We want to be treated as equals, not as animals to be studied. We want the knowledge you possess about the galaxy. And yes, eventually we want our place among the stars." Zixthal looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him, waiting for his decision. He could try to fight their way out, but the human fleet had them surrounded and outgunned. He could try to escape to faster-than-light speed, but his ship was not designed for combat and the humans had demonstrated sophisticated weapons. Or he could do something he had never done before in all his years of service. He could admit that the Khalint had made a mistake. "Very well, Admiral," Zixthal said. "We accept your invitation to talk, but I request that we meet in person on neutral ground. There's much we need to discuss." Admiral Okafor nodded. "Agreed. Welcome to Earth, Commander. We have been expecting you for a very long time." The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere in silence. Commander Zixthal watched through the viewports as they passed through clouds and approached a massive city. Towers of glass and steel reached toward the sky. Flying vehicles moved through designated air corridors. Below, millions of humans went about their daily lives, unaware that aliens walked among them for the first time in 30,000 years. "This is New Geneva," Admiral Okafor explained from her seat across from Zixthal, "built on what used to be the ruins of several ancient cities. We chose to meet here because of what it represents: unity, progress, and memory." The shuttle landed on a platform atop an enormous building. As Zixthal and his two crew members, Krina and Vixkor, stepped out, they were greeted by a group of humans in formal attire. The humans showed no fear at the sight of the insectoid aliens. Instead, they bowed respectfully. "Welcome to Earth," said an elderly human male with white hair and dark eyes. "I am Secretary General Chen of the United Earth Government. It is an honor to meet you, though the circumstances are not what we had hoped." Zixthal returned the bow as best he could with his different physiology. "The honor is ours, though I confess I am still processing the revelation of your true technological level." "All will be explained," Secretary General Chen promised. "Please follow us." They were led through corridors lined with artwork and historical displays. Zixthal noticed that many of the displays showed images of the stars, of spacecraft, of humans reaching outward. But there were also older images, cave paintings, ancient tools, drawings of his own species standing beside humans. "You preserved the memory of us," Krina observed quietly. "We preserved everything," Admiral Okafor said. "Our entire civilization was shaped by that first contact, even if you never intended it to be contact at all. You were our first proof that we were not alone in the universe. That knowledge changed us." They entered a vast chamber that took Zixthal's breath away. The Global Archives Museum stretched before them, a space easily 500 meters long and 100 meters high. Display cases held artifacts from every era of human history. But at the center of the room, given a place of highest honor, was something that made Zixthal stop in his tracks. A panel of Khalint hull material, 3 meters wide and 2 meters tall, stood on a raised platform. It was intact, its surface still showing the slight shimmer of quantum-locked molecules, but it had been engraved. Human hands had carved words into its surface in dozens of languages, but the largest inscription was in Earth Common, "To our ancient teachers." "We kept this piece," Secretary General Chen said softly. "The last piece we removed from your base. Everything else was studied, reverse-engineered, and eventually recycled or displayed in educational facilities. But this one piece we kept here, as a reminder." Zixthal moved closer to the panel. His mandibles clicked as he read the inscription. Around it were display cases showing the progression of human technology: stone tools, bronze implements, iron weapons. And then suddenly a leap: crystalline energy matrices, quantum processors, gravity manipulation devices, all clearly derivative of Khalint technology, but adapted, improved, made uniquely human. "Tell me the whole story," Zixthal said. "I need to understand how this happened." Secretary General Chen gestured to seats arranged in a circle around the panel. As they sat, a holographic display activated showing images from Earth's past. "After Akara discovered your base, it became the focus of our most intelligent minds," Chen began. "For generations, tribal elders would send their brightest children to study the invisible house. They would spend their entire lives trying to understand it. They passed their knowledge to their children. Who passed it to their children?" The holographic display showed images of primitive humans camping near the base, drawing diagrams in the sand, leaving offerings. "Around 20,000 years ago, we had our first breakthrough. A young woman named Sina discovered that certain rocks, what we now know were crystals with specific atomic structures, would glow near your base. She mapped the entire outline using those crystals. For the first time, we could see the full size of what we were dealing with. The display showed more images, humans drawing careful maps, building permanent structures near the base to house the scholars who studied it. 15,000 years ago, we found the first door mechanism. It took us 200 years to understand how it worked. Another 50 years to finally open it without triggering your security systems." Chen smiled slightly. "Your base AI was very insistent that we should not be there. It tried to warn you. It tried to activate defense protocols, but it was designed to observe and record, not to harm developing species, so it could only watch as we slowly took apart everything you had built." "The AI," Zixthal said suddenly. "What happened to it?" "Still functional," Chen said. "We will show you later. Please let me finish the history." The display showed humans carrying pieces of Khalint technology from the desert, building workshops, studying the components with primitive tools that gradually became more sophisticated. 10,000 years ago, we understood your power systems. We built our first power generator based on your designs. It revolutionized our society. No more dependence on fire alone. We could heat entire buildings, illuminate cities, power machines we had not even imagined yet. 5,000 years ago, we cracked your data storage systems. Suddenly, we had access to your databases, your scientific knowledge, your star charts, your mathematics and physics. It was like going from candlelight to sunlight in an instant. We learned about the Galactic Council, about other species, about the true size of the universe. The display showed human scientists studying holographic data, their faces filled with wonder and determination. "But we also learned something troubling," Chen continued. "We learned about the Council's laws regarding developing species. We learned that what happened to us, whether accident or not, was forbidden. We realized that if you returned and reported what had happened, you would face severe punishment. Your entire species might suffer for a mistake you made 30,000 years ago." Zixthal felt a wave of emotion. "You hid your advancement to protect us?" "Partially," Admiral Okafor said. "We also hid it to protect ourselves. We did not know how you would react. Would you try to suppress us? Remove our technology? We decided it was safer to appear primitive until we understood your intentions." "But that was only a few thousand years ago," Vixcor protested. "How did you advance so quickly from there to this?" He gestured at the sophisticated city around them. "Because once we understood the principles, we could innovate," Chen explained. "Your technology taught us the rules of the universe, but we added our own creativity, our own solutions. Human ingenuity combined with Khalint knowledge created something new, something neither of our species had built alone." The display showed modern human spacecraft, beautiful and deadly in equal measure. "We are not copies of you," Admiral Okafor said. "We are something else, something that could only exist because a Khalint research vessel decided to study our primitive ancestors and accidentally left a treasure trove of knowledge behind." Zixthal looked at the panel with its inscription. "To our ancient teachers," he read again. "But we did not teach you. We only left our tools lying around. And that," Secretary General Chen said with a smile, "is the most human way to learn anything. We are scavengers, Commander. We take what we find and make it our own. We always have been." Commander Zixthal sat alone in the observation room aboard his ship, staring at Earth through the viewport. The planet rotated slowly below, its lights twinkling like stars scattered across the surface. Somewhere down there, billions of humans lived their lives, built their cities, and reached for the stars, all because his species had made one simple mistake 30,000 years ago. The door opened and Krina entered. "Commander, we have received a response from the Galactic Council. They are requesting a full report on our findings." Zixthal felt his neural clusters tighten with anxiety. "What have you told them so far?" "Only that we have arrived at Earth and located evidence of technological development among the native species." "Nothing more." Krina moved closer. "Commander, we must tell them the truth. The Council has laws for a reason. If we conceal what happened here, if we tell them the truth, the Kalant will face consequences that could destroy our civilization." Zixthal interrupted. "We will be labeled as uplifters, contaminators. We will be quarantined, possibly for thousands of years. Our research privileges will be revoked, our trade agreements canceled. Everything our species has built over millions of years could be lost. But the law was made to protect developing species from exploitation," Zixthal said bitterly. "We did not exploit humanity. We made a mistake. We underestimated them. Is that truly worthy of species-level punishment?" Before Krina could answer, a communication alert sounded. Admiral Okafor's face appeared on the screen. "Commander Zixthal, Secretary General Chen requests your presence planetside. He says there is something important we need to discuss. All of you." 2 hours later, Zixthal and his crew stood once again in the Global Archives Museum. But this time they were not alone. The chamber was filled with humans. Scientists, historians, military officers, and government officials. They all watched the Qualant with expressions of curiosity and respect. Secretary General Chen stood before the assembled crowd. "Commander Zixthal, we have been monitoring your communications with the Galactic Council. We know you face a difficult decision. You can tell them the truth about what happened here and face punishment for a mistake made 30,000 years ago. Or you can lie and risk even worse consequences if the truth is discovered later." Zixthal said nothing. There was nothing to say. The humans understood his dilemma perfectly. "We have a proposal," Chen continued. "A third option, if you will. But first we need to show you something." Admiral Okafor activated a holographic display. It showed star charts, trade routes, technological specifications, and military capabilities. All of it human. All of it remarkably advanced. "In some areas we have matched your technology," Okafor explained. "In others we have actually exceeded it. Our approach to gravity manipulation is more efficient than yours. Our medical nanotechnology is more sophisticated. Our artificial intelligence systems are more adaptive. We did not just copy what you left behind, Commander. We innovated. We are ready to join the galactic community," Chen said. "But there is a problem. We are unknown, unproven. If we simply appear one day and claim to be a spacefaring civilization, the Council will investigate our origins. They will discover the truth about your base, and you will suffer for it." "So you want us to lie for you?" Zixthal said flatly. "No." Chen smiled. "We want you to tell a different truth, one that benefits both our species." He gestured and the holographic display changed. It showed a timeline, but this timeline was different from the real history. In this version, the Qualant had returned to Earth, discovered humanity had achieved spaceflight independently, and made first contact. The base was never mentioned. "We propose a partnership," Chen explained. "The Qualant return to the Council and report that humanity has developed into a spacefaring civilization through natural progression. You recommend us for Council membership as a newly discovered species. The Council will verify our technology, see that we meet the requirements, and grant us membership." "You want us to cover up the truth," Krina said, her voice troubled. "We want to offer you redemption," Admiral Okafor corrected, "and ourselves a future. Think about it, Commander. What serves the spirit of the Council's laws better? Punishing you for an accident that actually led to a beneficial outcome? Or allowing a new species to join the galactic community peacefully? The Council will investigate," Vixcor pointed out. "They will scan Earth, they will find evidence of your rapid advancement. Let them look," Chen said confidently. "We have spent the last 2,000 years preparing for this moment. We have buried, destroyed, or disguised any evidence that could not be explained by natural development. Your base is gone. The components were recycled into our infrastructure generations ago. The only proof that you were ever here is locked in secured facilities that the Council will never see. And your base AI? Zixthal asked. You said it still exists. Chen nodded to one of the scientists who stepped forward carrying a small container. We kept it safe, preserved it perfectly. We thought you might want it back. The container opened, revealing a crystalline core no larger than Zixthal's hand. Even after 30,000 years, it still pulsed with faint light. The AI that had been left to watch over the base and record humanity's development. It still works, the scientist said, though its last log entry is quite interesting. Recorded 29,847 years ago. Zixthal reached out and touched the core. Data flooded into his neural interface. Logs, observations, recordings. Millennia of humanity's development, all faithfully recorded. And there, at the very end, the final entry. Alert: security breach detected. Primitive humans have overcome external door mechanisms through sustained trial and error, spanning approximately 200 years. Probability of successful base infiltration, 93% within next 50 years. Recommended action: immediate evacuation. The humans are learning. They are adapting. They are not what we thought. They are dangerous, beautiful, worthy. I wish them well. End log. Zixthal felt something he had not expected. Pride. Not in his own species, but in humanity. The AI had recognized what the Qualent had missed. These humans were special. Why are you giving this back to me? He asked quietly. Because it is yours, Chen said simply, and because we want you to understand something. We do not see you as enemies. We see you as the species that gave us our greatest gift. Proof that we were not alone. That pushed us to reach higher than we ever could have reached on our own. We are grateful, Commander, and we want to repay that gift. By saving my species from the consequences of our mistake. By offering partnership. Admiral Okafor corrected. We need you, Commander. We need a voice in the Council who understands us, who can vouch for us. In return, we offer you something precious. We offer you humans as allies, as friends, as the one species in the galaxy who will always remember that the Qualent gave them the stars. Zixthal looked at his crew. Krina's antennae were trembling with emotion. Vixkor's eyes were wide with hope. They both wanted this. They both understood what it meant. There is one condition, Zixthal said finally. I will not lie to the Council. I will tell them we discovered humanity had achieved spaceflight. I will recommend you for membership. But I want something in return. I want access to your innovations, your improvements on our technology. I want a true partnership, not just political convenience. Chen extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Done. Welcome to Earth, Commander. Not as observers this time. As partners. Zixthal reached out and grasped the human's hand. The skin was warm and soft, so different from his own chitinous exterior. But the grip was firm. Strong. Determined. 6 months later, Commander Zixthal stood before the Galactic Council and delivered his report. Humanity was accepted as a probationary member, pending full evaluation. The Council was impressed by human innovation and curious about their rapid development, but found nothing suspicious. The official story held, and when the first human vessel prepared to depart Earth to join Zixthal for the journey to the Council headquarters, something beautiful happened. The ship was named the Akara, after the hunter who had discovered the base so long ago. Its hull bore an inscription in both human and Qualent languages, "We rise together." As the two ships engaged their faster-than-light drives and leaped toward the stars, Zixthal looked at the human captain on his communication screen and felt something he had never felt before. When looking at another species, he felt hope. Not just for his own people, but for what humans and Qualent could accomplish together. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would they.